have a confession to make. I don't know diddly about Vocaloid. So I know the basics from pop culture osmosis, and I know that Himitsu Keisatsu is a fucking banger. And also that Paprika was one of the first movies to use the Vocaloid program on its soundtrack. But that's about it. So of course I knew exactly what I was doing when I joined this collab. This Vocaloid collaboration features the work of 2 other talented artists who put their own amazing spins on these beloved characters. Stay tuned till the end to see everyone's dolls. For my contribution, I wanted to recreate Gumi from the Matryoshka video, but with my own bells and whistles. The bold and graphic art style reminded me of game series like Danganronpa and Persona, but also of the off-the-wall character designs of Jamie Hewlett, who co-created Tank Girl and Gorillaz. I've also been inspired by the beautiful dolls by April Rosart and G, so I wanted to blend these aesthetics into something super stylized and a little gonzo. I'm using this second-hand apple white as my base for this project. Her forearms are a different colored plastic than the rest of her, but since her arms are going to be covered up, that's not going to matter anyway. Let's go. As usual, I started with the clothes. The left stocking is made of a mesh material while the right is made with actual stockings. I cut up some lace from my stash for the top of the mesh stocking. I tried dyeing some white stockings to the bright green I needed, but that didn't work at all. So I bought these awful chartreuse tights, cut strips out of them, and some black tights from my stash, and sewed each of the stripes together before sewing the rest of the sock along the doll's leg. I ended up cutting the foot off below the ankle because it wasn't going to fit in the shoe otherwise. The skirt is pretty straightforward. I'm just following Moonlight Jewel's pleated skirt pattern here. I largely did this off cam because I absolutely could not get the pleats right from that view on camera. Worth it though, they turned out super well. Now for the design's main focal point, the hoodie. For this, I'm using Delightful's hoodie pattern, available on Etsy, link in description. I'm making it out of this t-shirt I found at Walmart since it's not only the perfect color, but also the right fabric. Like with Crop Top Gambit, I initially made the graphics for the hood in Illustrator and enlisted in my mom's help to print them. However, because I estimated the measurements before I had the pattern printed, they turned out too small for my tastes. Oops. So, since these are a lot simpler than Gambit's graphic, I'll paint the mouth and eyes onto the hood this time. I mixed 2 parts fabric softener with 1 part acrylics to create a DIY fabric paint. I saw Etalan use this trick in her Ash video, and I knew I had to give that a try too. I think it worked out pretty well. It's got some nice flexibility, it isn't crunchy, and somehow it didn't soak through the fabric. All wins in my book. I added some black stitches around the eyes with embroidery thread to give them an appropriately chunky look. There's no visible shirt under the hoodie in the original artwork, but I wanted to give her a little something, so I made her a simple black tube top with some black faux leather. It's the same fabric I used to make Astarian's pants. I really didn't want to make shoes for this project, so I just painted these shadow high boots. We're done here, let's move on to the mods. As normal, I'm removing the doll's factory hair by cutting it close to the head and removing the leftover stubble and glue with pliers. I then removed her factory paint with acetone. Real talk, I'm not a fan of ever after high heads, as is they're a little too flat and wide for my tastes. But they look nice after being shrunken down, so that's what I'm gonna do here. I'm using the quick shrink method outlined by Derilli dolls, mostly because I'm impatient. True to her graphic look in the music video, Gumi's skin is paper white. I'm replicating that with pan pastels as well as some airbrushing, because I was getting impatient. I also painted her hands and wrists to create her gloves, and dyed the joints with an appropriately colored marker to keep everything cohesive. So I goofed and somehow didn't get any footage of me modifying this head, but I guess that's okay because I ended up hating it anyway. After sitting on it for a bit, but not literally because that would be uncomfortable, I decided to swap out the shrunken pancake head with this Spectra head that used to belong to my old Napstablook custom. Sorry, Blukey. Okay, now let's get to the face-up. Looking back to my various inspirations, this is going to be a pretty stylized and bonkers face-up, as it should be. To keep things nice and graphic, I'm not going to do a lot of blushing here. I'm making the initial sketches with watercolor pencils. Once those look right, I'm filling everything in with paint. I painted her scalp and added the last details off cam. I used the end of some dressmaker's pins to make her piercings. And here is the finished face. Real talk, this may be my favorite face-up I've done. It's giving me some serious JoJo vibes and I love it. As is par for the usual course, I'm using acrylic yarn to make Gumi's hair, which is for the best since she has a very short and choppy hairstyle hidden inside her hood. I made wefts with this awful chartreuse yarn, straightened them with my flat iron, and glued them onto her head. I shaped her style with water and hairspray once everything was cut into shape. Before I call Gumi completely finished, she needs a little more visual clutter, because minimalism is overrated. First, she gets a choker and a necklace to prevent her neck and collarbone from looking too empty. I'm adding some rings, tiny buttons, and other assorted clutter to add some texture and visual appeal to the hoodie. I added a band-aid to one of her thighs to add a little more of that awful chartreuse green, and to add a pop of color to her very white thighs. I made a simple belt/decorative chain to further add some colorful clutter with some beads that I had in my collection. Okay, let's take a look at the finished doll. Even though I'm woefully ignorant of most things Vocaloid, I still really enjoyed this project. I experimented with new things like head shrinking, painting fabric, and attempting mouth modifications. And even though not everything was a success, they were learning experiences, and that's good enough for me. This collaboration wouldn't be what it is without the contribution of my fellow artists. I could do that DIY, and the Dolly Geek, who organized this collab. Big thanks to you two, this collab was a blast. Also a special shout out to Steffu Doll and Rainstorm Creations, who originally joined this collab but will be releasing their creations later. I really enjoyed working alongside y'all. Everyone's dolls turned out beautifully, and I love seeing everybody's interpretations of these beloved characters and their many, many different incarnations. Links to everyone's work in the description. Seriously, go see them. I mean it. Who is your favorite Vocaloid character, and why is it Miku? I'm just kidding. Let me know down in the comments, or just leave me some music note emojis to let me know you made it this far. Thanks again for watching, my dudes, and I'll see you next time.